Welcome to CMO Confidential, the podcast that takes you inside the drama, decisions, and choices that go with being the head of marketing. Hosted by five-time CMO Mike Linton.
When is the last time you researched something on a website? If you're like most people, AI did that work for you. And that raises a question. If AI is doing the work, what is your website really for? This behavioral shift means AI bots are becoming your most important new visitors, a challenge our sponsor Scrunch is taking head on. Scrunch is the customer experience platform that helps you understand how AI agents experience your site, when and why they show up, and what's blocking them from being retrieved, trusted, or recommended. Scrunch shows you the content and citation gaps and technical blockers and helps you fix them, so your brand shows up when consumers start with AI, because your most important site visitor might not be a human. For our listeners, Scrunch is providing a free website audit that uncovers how AI sees your site and how you're showing up in AI versus the competition. Run your site through it at scrunch.com/CMO. Welcome, marketers, advertisers, and those who love them, to Chief Marketing Officer Confidential. CMO Confidential is a program that takes you inside the drama, the decisions, and the politics that go with being the head of marketing at any company in what is one of the most scrutinized jobs in the executive suite. I'm Mike Linton, the former Chief Marketing Officer of Best Buy, eBay, Farmers Insurance, and Ancestry.com, here today with my guest, Dave Penski. Today's topic: media in the age of AI. Now, Dave has been in the agency business his entire career, including positions as the CEO of ZenithOptimedia, Chief Operating Officer at Publicis Groupe, and as the CEO of Publicis Media twice, a job he currently holds. This is his second time on the show, and full disclosure, Dave and I have known each other for a few years, and our paths also crossed recently when he ran Zenith and I was working as the CMO of Farmers. He has, in my mind, one of the best seats to see the tectonic shifts going on in the agency business and the media markets. Welcome back, Dave.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, Dave, let's start. Give us a quick overview of the business marketplace, not even just the media marketplace, but the overall business marketplace and what you are seeing today.
So this is a great question. I mean, it's definitely, I've looked at it much more by vertical. So how our QSRs are doing, how a farm is doing, how about insurance, and you've worked at a couple of different verticals. So I don't think it's a simple answer on any of those, but I would say overall, it's a tough marketplace. I think that we see it some on the stock market. We see it some on the earnings that have been coming out. It is a challenge marketplace. I think that we have a lot of volatility, and just how we have lack of consumer confidence, we have a lack of advertising confidence and business confidence in what's happening. And it's not a political answer. It's what's going to happen with tariffs. They were struck down and raised all in one day. I think certainly those dollars could end up going back to companies and going right back into advertising, which would be very good for the advertising marketplace. At the same time, I think as we go into this midterm election, there's a lot of different promises of positivity and there's a lot of promises of challenges. So I think that we're going to continue in this kind of what we've been on for the last year, which is a very challenged marketplace. I'm sure you're going to ask me some AI questions coming up.
I am.
But I think one of the things that we're seeing that's really come through over the last couple of years are the amount of companies coming between our clients and their end consumers. So whether that be on what used to be much more direct to consumer, whether that be retailers and retail media, whether that be the delivery services and the QSRs, whether that be the aggregators in the insurance business, there's just quite a bit of disruption. And I think the media marketplace is becoming more and more fragmented. So, it used to be, people say, it's 20 years ago, you'd be a brand manager at a large CPG, so you're not going to get fired for buying TV and search. And then it was, you're not going to get fired for buying Google and Meta. And now we're seeing that not those, even those guys are getting disrupted by a much more fragmented marketplace, where an advertiser might have spent 50% of their digital money between Meta and Google. Those numbers are going down. Now their total spend is going up. This means Google and Meta spend is going down, but their percent of their digital dollars is decreasing because there's just so many more options, whether it's Snap, whether it's TikTok, whether it's a new test in the different LLMs. It's just a very fragmented market. And at the same time, you have a very challenged market of clients looking for business results that are outsized their competitive set. So
if I parse all your comments, what I hear you saying
please do.
is you have uncertain companies.
Yes.
Consumers that are on a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and a volatile marketplace where you can have things like the SaaSpocalypse any minute from a fake research report. So what you have is it's really tough to figure out what to do, and the segmented market that is getting more and more segmented is making that even harder.
Those are all very accurate. Thank you for saying it much cleaner than me, Mike. I do appreciate that.
Well, I got the chance of hearing you, so I just condensed it on the show. So yes. Let's put the agencies in this. Talk about the agency landscape. It looks like a really tough market.
It's a good day to be publicist today, so I can't complain. So I think obviously it's a pretty seismic shift in the agency marketplace right now. We have ourselves and Omnicom, and I'll speak for a U.S. perspective, who are become far larger than the other competitors. Both are over a third of the market. And we've taken two very different strategies. Our strategy has been about growing through more M&A and investing back into our people, into our company, and into investing, really taking our dollars to reinvest back in.
And you guys reinvested a lot in data and the back end before anybody did, right?
Yeah, so over the last 10 years, we've invested about $12 billion. I'd have to look at, I know the euros, I have to think about the translation today might be a little different. So over $12 billion into, from Sapient to Epsilon to the influencer companies. And really what our point of view of what we've been talking about is the view of connected media. We believe in the end is that the connected identity is at the center of this, and that we need to have an identity solution that allows clients to understand who are their prospects, who are their current customers, how to target them, and how to target them across paid media, CRM, influencer, and commerce. And what commerce means for certain clients is different, whether that means on Amazon, on that, or does that mean through other commerce plays? Like it could be, if we're talking to a QSR, is it through DoorDash and Uber Eats? So all of those ability to go across those platforms is really important. So we've made a number of investments. We've bought a large commerce agency in Mars United. We bought the two largest by revenue or cost in Influential and Captivate in the influencer space. And we're making those all kind of stick together with the Epsilon identity spine. And then the other probably through line, and it's interesting, some of the companies that you've worked at, and certainly we look at one of the more AI-proof things out there is sports. So we've also made a couple different sports acquisitions, and we've been open that we are continuing to be open for business and looking for places to continue to invest if it helps us and our clients do those kind of 5 things. So the 4+ sports are really where we are looking to be investing in the future. And so our competitors have taken a point of view of doing stock buybacks, which is not what we were trying to do. So it's a very...
Your IR people will be so proud of you for this latest answer.
Yes.
Fantastic. I want to make sure everyone, I'm going to go back to the just general agency landscape in a minute, but when you say connected identity, I think we all know what it means, but you should be really clear what exactly when you say connected identity.
Yeah, so for us, we want to make sure for each of our clients and for us that we're able to look at, I'll talk about from a U.S. perspective, but it's global too. There's some different rules by market, but this from a U.S. perspective that we understand who every person is. So we've connected, we use Epsilon as our core identity partner, and we own them. So be clear that we have 255 million unique IDs where we have address, home address, email address, phone. We've caused that resolution to go down. We know by device, how many devices, if you have 5 or 6 devices in your household, how do we actually know it's that one person? How do we target them from a CRM standpoint? So we can do a match. So if a client has a CRM file, we can match with them on a one-to-one basis. We can do this with both PII and non-PII matching. We were able to do that across paid media. So if someone runs an ad on Hulu, and we can see if we then expose them through an influencer that we have tracked all the influencers, we then can track to see if they actually made that purchase. And we can also look to see, are they part of our current CRM file and they're a current customer, or are they a new prospect? So we start looking at audiences. How do we go about doing that? So that is what we have been focusing on. And that's a really important part of our differentiation between us and our competitors. And I think that Omnicom is starting down that path on trying to get an identity solution with Acxiom. And WPP came out and said they didn't need identity. Now they've kind of said they do need identity. I'm not sure of the latest WPP positioning on this identity, but I think that most of our clients have certainly come to the conclusion of, if I can reach these consumers through CRM that are my current customers, or I can reach them very efficiently through influencers, I can reserve more of my paid dollars to reach my prospects who I need to convert and who might be more difficult to convert over. And that's been something of, how do you then, all of our clients have a limited amount of spend. I don't care if it's $1 billion. Everyone feels their budget should be bigger. So how do we then use those limited dollars?
Except the CFO does never.
No, that is accurate.
Now let's take a short break from our discussion for a word from our sponsor, Scrunch.
Over the weekend, I asked AI to do dozens of things for me. Please help me make this dishwasher start working. Settle a debate between me and my partner. Is it safe to sleep at 80 degrees? It's not. Please help me find a robotics kit for a 5-year-old operating at a middle school level. And even help me compare the Scrunch Agent Experience platform with Adobe's LLM Optimizer. In every one of these interactions, I never once visited a website. In this day and age, what's your website actually for? The truth is, almost everything on your website is now for AI consumption. The Scrunch Agent Experience platform helps manage, optimize, and deliver content directly for AI to retrieve.
Now back to our conversation with Dave.
And I want to make sure I'm getting this right, because one of the things I hear you saying is you guys are leading, actually, I know it's not exactly media, but if I say media is my ability to reach the target with the most certainty,
yes,
the entire company is kind of leading with that first. Is that
100%.
a way to think about it?
Yes, we want to be able to know who we're reaching with it. And certainly when we get into it is, I think, where we have some of our largest upside. We had a great year, and we've posted this, I can talk about, previous results. We actually had one of our best years ever on creative and production, and we've seen an ability to not only know who that person is, know where they live, what actually motivates them, and putting the right content in front of them. And if you look at what we're able to do from an identity standpoint, with not just from a media perspective, but to actually then produce the correct asset to put in front of that customer is very important. So yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about everybody that's not you.
Yes.
Not Publicis.
I try not to bash my competition, but I'll do my best. But go ahead.
All right. Well, just in general, the
Yes.
rest of the forces, we know all the forces on the agencies. What's your take on these forces on the agencies, and then in general, all agency economics?
Yeah. So, we just went through our earnings. Obviously, we've shown a very positive margin and growth of last year. We ended up just below 6%. We've forecasted growth between 4 and 5% this year. We've been on this trajectory for quite a bit. This is, I think, year 4 or 5 of this kind of growth of this or higher. And it's been certainly, we've seen it. We've announced to our employees, a very positive bonus to go along with that. And certainly, I think most of our employees will be very happy with those results. And I think that's something that we feel very positive about, that we want to pay our people fairly. We want to make sure that we're rewarding those that have helped us deliver these incredible results. And I think some of our competitors, I think WP was yesterday, they're showing that they were, minus a bunch last year, will be minus a bunch again this year. Whether it's going to be high single digits, around high single digits, it's going to be a challenge. I think it remains to be seen on Omnicom exactly where they stand. Their fourth quarter was their first quarter together. It was a bit of a confusing announcement. And, one of the things that's going to be challenging is, we report net and gross. They report only gross revenue. So there's a lot of pass through. There's a lot of deals there. I think it's been hard to really show. But certainly we have a much higher growth rate and certainly a much higher number of where we believe will be.
And we just had Pete Imwala on. He's a former CEO of RPA, a big independent agency in LA. And one of the things he talked about was, other than Publicis, agency valuations have really taken a hit.
Yes. Oh, the actual valuations. Yes.
And insourcing by a lot of clients was happening, even when it might not be the best thing for the client. Can you talk about those trends in the agencies, and then also the insourcing move?
Well, the valuations are, we always, I probably say this in a politically correct way for us, but I think we are the nicest house on a bad block. So I think that is a challenging situation in valuations. We, of course, believe we should be valued far higher. Yeah. I'm sure all of our competitors probably feel the same way. We've been grouped as a category with some AI losers. I haven't really seen that. I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. But the value, we actually see a lot of positive on the AI side. But having said that, I think that the valuations are the valuations. Whether we think they're fair or not, it's what the marketplace is showing. It's a little bit confusing, because of the amount of debt that sits on. You look at the total market valuation of WP, it's not as low as as you look at the market cap of, I think it's £3 billion today. It's low, but there's still a lot of debt in that business, and there's some other things going on there. So it's not exactly a fair comparison, but certainly we would have expected after pretty stellar results for a number of years, a much higher evaluation. Now, Omnicom has gone up from a stock price because they're pushing a huge amount of buybacks into the system, but that's not bringing your market cap up. It's just bringing up the stock price. So that's going to be interesting to see. That's not something we believe is a long-term strategy. Is you're going to keep cutting.
Yes, you can't buy back your stock forever.
You can't buy back your stock forever, and you can't just keep cutting to growth. So I don't think cutting 20,000 jobs is going to bring you growth. And I also think that we'll get into the client question in a minute, but a number of our employees, now they of course had synergies, so there should be some value to bring these businesses together. But on the other side, a majority of our clients are an FTE model that you can't keep cutting because then you don't get paid. So it is there is a part of this that we're going to see how clients react. So these massive cuts, and if they're going to those savings are going to be passed on to the clients versus being kept at the holding company level, and that remains to be seen. But I'm certain if I was a client and my holding company was cutting 20,000 jobs, people were coming off my business, I'd want the money back. So I think that's a reality that we're up against. So
and you guys have been rolled into, and you mentioned it, the nicest house on a bad block, I think.
Yes.
That whole verticals are thrown under this is an AI negative, or this is an AI positive. The agency business has been thrown into the AI negative camp.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you throw in the company's insourcing thing on top of that.
Yeah.
Tell us about
I'll answer.
That might be
I'll answer
the AI effect.
I will answer the insourcing one first, and then I will. And the insourcing thing has been going around for a long time, but there's been a lot of we make these huge announcements and then nothing happens. I remember I was actually speaking at a public board meeting not that long ago, and someone asked me a similar question. I said, in 2004, I was told that would be last upfront. The last upfront was going to be the 2004, 2005 upfront. And I just saw a meeting on my calendar for the 26, 27 upfront. So obviously that's 24 years off on the prediction of that was the last upfront. So I think often we make these predictions and that we don't, it sounds great, but then there's a long time between that prediction and reality. And on the insourcing, I would say we're in year 10 of this, where there's a significant amount of clients that have brought stuff in. We also have what we call outhousing, which sounds better than it is, which is bringing it back to us.
I'm going to the outhouse.
So I don't know if we want to call it outhousing. Maybe we come up with a better name. You're the CMO, Mike. That maybe out a different word.
Rehousing, anything but outhousing.
Rehousing doesn't sound very good either, Mike. But so we have a combination, and I would say if we have 300 enterprise clients, we have 300 different setups. There are clients that will be in-housing small amounts that they think that their belief, and may be correct actually, is in order to do their larger data models, they need to own the data contracts, so they bring the data contracts in. Some clients are bringing the hands-on keyboards in. Some clients are bringing in almost all of the investment. Others are bringing all the investment with us and keeping more of all the strategy going in-house. And I think our point of view is we've not fought this. We decided, hey, we're going to support clients in each way they do it. We've lost almost zero clients in this process in terms of bringing the whole thing in-house. And what we've noticed is it's a bit of a give and take, where often clients want to bring this in-house, they want to do hands-on keyboard, and then they go, well, we don't want to do the bill pay. We don't want that. That was terrible. Or we'd like you to do that part. And also, we can't get people to stay. It's hard. And very often they might not have a great, a person comes over, does a year and go, well, I want to be promoted. And like, well, we don't have any other jobs. This is it. This is it. So now we got to do so.
The peak of, but what I hear you saying between the in-house.
So I'm not, it is a rounding error for us on a yearly basis, the amount of revenue we lose from in-housing and don't make up from rehousing, outhousing, coming back. I think it ends up being a pretty flat number. And often clients that want to bring things in-house, we have other services that we might sell them on. Hey, we can train your hands on keyboards. We can do that. So this is not a drain on our revenue that I think we probably would have thought it was ourselves, by the way, 10 years ago, going, oh my God, we're going to have to reduce all this. And we really have not seen that as a thing. And if you look at our revenue, it plays out that this has not been a huge effect.
And beneath this, I hear you also saying there's no roadmap for all the housings, in-housing, out-housing, whatever housing you want to say. And so there's no playbook that actually has caught on. What there is a bunch of effort.
There's a lot of effort. And then we get to AI, a lot of pilots, and whether or not, some large enough clients, there's certainly some value that can be had if you're using the in-housing strategy for a larger business strategy, or you are truly a marketing company. For companies that aren't marketing companies and they're bringing stuff in-house who have no experience in doing it, it can be very challenging. But if you're a marketing company who might have a large retail media business as part of your overall business, and you're running an advertising business, then hey, it makes sense to bring a number of these things in-house because it's actually part of your now becoming or part of your core business versus a client that might be as you were formerly in the insurance business, I don't think the insurance business is going to start a retail media business. And so bringing in something in-house to build out a large in-house buying. And I think what the biggest challenge becomes, often the job is tougher than it looks on paper. And if a consultant comes in and tells you can save money, then you get into the details of, can you really save money? And also, are you getting, I think one of the things that we've seen is, in year one, your talent's great. Year two, who's going to retrain them? What is their career pathing? What is, and often you're dealing with we're used to dealing with a lot of under 30 talent. Now you have this large group of under 30 talent that has to figure out a way that they want to get promoted. They want to get more money. They want to figure out their career, and how are you then going to keep them? If you have a larger market, we have clients, like Walmart, who are not only great marketers, and great retailers. They're also quite an advertising company. Same with Amazon, Target, and I'm not picking on any of mine versus others. The Best Buy, Lowe's, Home Depot, they all have incredible marketing, retail, and advertising businesses that they're running. And for those companies, a lot of it makes sense to do in-house because it's part of their core business offering. Or if you're an entertainment company or wherever that would be, it starts to make sense. So I think there are places where it makes sense, but even all of those companies, half of those are clients, half are not. And we've helped all of them in terms of that. And none of them have brought all of it in-house. And that's something, and a number of our clients that brought some stuff in-house 6 years ago are now in the, because it's funny, you look at it, you're like, well, we have all these, you start looking at, we've now, often happens, is we've all done this, I mean, we've done it too, is you hire 25 people to do a job, and all of a sudden you've noticed in the last 6 years that 25 people has ballooned to 80. And how do we have 80 people doing this? Well, let's bring it out. And then you go, well, we're paying these current people 20 million. Well, will you do it over 10? We'll do it for 10. We'll move it back out. And then all of those conversations are happening. And I think that's something that is going to continue to be part of the ecosystem. But again, this is not something that we want to solve these problems for clients and work with them. And I think the one thing we decided 10 years ago is we were not going to fight it. We were going to do the opposite and say, this is what you want to do. We'll support you. Here's a bunch of our tools that you can still use. Here's a bunch of our things that you can still work with us on. And here's ways that you can, if you decide to change your mind, we have a way to help you change your mind too. And that's been a very positive outcome.
So let's flip to the AI part,
Yes.
the second part of the
Yes.
question,
Yes.
and agencies and AI.
Yeah. So a couple of things. We have thousands of AI pilots going at any one time and different agents that are being built. And I have a lot of positivity in terms of this being able to transform our business in the next few years. I do think that the roadway, just like the upfront hasn't been dead for 25 years, the roadway will sometimes take longer, especially when you get into legal on some of these things. And I think there's an article from MIT that 95% of the pilots failed in the first 2 years. And there are some of these things that are going to take longer. There's huge, I think we're seeing probably the two pieces of massive disruption is on the creative and production business, the ability to create assets. And, the old Don Draper is beyond over, where you go send 15 people to work for 2 weeks on a project. They come back to you with ideas, you go back and forth. That can take 30 minutes. There are incredible tools that we are building, that we've partnered with. It's not my exact expertise, so I won't say the wrong names here, but we have certainly what I've seen us been able to do. I think any of you who are listening, we've what you're able to do on a personal level on a ChatGPT or other language models, and you can imagine the ones that we're using for this are even better. And the ability to produce high quality static, especially video, not quite there, but getting there. The ability to produce those images and ideas at speed, and the ability to produce tens of thousands of assets to be across that. The only thing that I would say is you produce 10,000 assets. The negative to the fact that you can produce 10,000 assets for the cost that it used to cost just to do 50 is often it can become off as very convoluted to the actual end customer that they've now seen from one company, 14 different ads and different styles, because they're all trying to hit in the right place. So there does take some discipline and work to do that. But so that's been one place where
And if everybody is using AI
Yes.
becomes the average creative. And so, which works for maybe a lot of the creative, but maybe not the breakthrough creative. So this is a super interesting evolution.
Yeah, and I think that very often, as we've used many different tools over the last 20 years, they've all been additive. This one, though, does feel different, especially in that place. The second part where we're seeing a massive advantage is the ability to do things much faster. So one of the things that you came to me and said, hey, you know what? We need to do a budget cut, and it could be anywhere between $25 and $100 million. And that is okay. So why don't we come up with a 20, a 40, a 60, an 80, $100 million cut plan? I can give you fully detailed plans on all of those now in one day, where that might have taken a team 2 weeks to do one of those plans.
Right.
So
And a big team. That's not like two people.
and that could go. So the ability to do it more accurately and faster are dramatic. And then probably the place where we're seeing it, we own Sapient, and I won't just, but I'll speak more to what Sapient's able to do, but it certainly is across. On the engineering side, where many of our clients have older code and things that need to be redone, and a lot of these infrastructure projects that we're going to, it's overwhelming at 4 and 5 years to do them. The ability to do those infrastructure and CapEx projects at not only a third of the cost, but a third of the time, because most of the challenge is just about the money. It's about, I can't have this network down if I'm running a rental car company for the better part of the next 3 months while you fix this thing. And I got Mike coming to rent a car
off as a rental car company.
Yeah, it's not good to be down. I mean, we've all been to rental car companies. It's quite a great experience sometimes. But the ability to be able to rewrite code to fix this and to move at speed. And so I think from our Sapient business, we see a lot of upside on the AI side. And I do think that there are going to be AI winners and losers in that piece, and the ability for us that, we're not like some other managing consulting businesses that have massive amounts of people. We do have a more technological view and have tech solutions for clients. So we're seeing some positive in this ability to actually do engineering at a much faster rate, and to be able to do it at a much more efficient rate by using AI automation to rewrite and to update new code. And they think about the amount of our clients that are spending to upkeep their current systems, to be able to do that at a much more efficient rate. So I do think on both the engineering side and the creative side, we're seeing massive changes. Media, we are seeing changes, the ability to redo modeling, redo measurement, redo a plan faster. On the other side, on a lot of the buy side, we've been using AI for a long time. It hasn't been agentic AI, but it hasn't needed to be. But that the ability to automate and optimize has been part of our lexicon and part of our strategy for many, many years. So I think you're seeing less changes on like the buy side, but as you would on more of the strategic, building audiences, those ability to kind of produce the different models, doing MMMs at a much faster rate, all those things. But again, those are the positive sides. The amount of time it takes to go from there to reality differs by client. You still have to go through, are we able to, what technology are clients comfortable with? Who from legal is signed off on bringing first-party data into a large language model? All of those things are not simple questions.
And the change management and the people thing, there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, and I do think that it's going to take a bit more time. On the other side, a lot of the geo stuff and a lot of the ability to, fix some of the hygiene behind what the large language models are looking at and finding is stuff that that our clients are doing. But yeah, I think that the amount of AI that is consumer facing today that's unbelievable is there. The amount that's enterprise grade is still in process.
Got it.
This ends part 1 of our discussion with Dave Penski. Join us next week for part 2 of our conversation.
When is the last time you researched something on a website? If you're like most people, AI did that work for you. And that raises a question. If AI is doing the work, what is your website really for? This behavioral shift means AI bots are becoming your most important new visitors, a challenge our sponsor Scrunch is taking head on. Scrunch is the customer experience platform that helps you understand how AI agents experience your site, when and why they show up, and what's blocking them from being retrieved, trusted, or recommended. Scrunch shows you the content and citation gaps and technical blockers and helps you fix them, so your brand shows up when consumers start with AI, because your most important site visitor might not be a human. For our listeners, Scrunch is providing a free website audit that uncovers how AI sees your site and how you're showing up in AI versus the competition. Run your site through it at scrunch.com/CMO.